Captain Jake Morrison watched the huge screen in front of him as 12 alien faces stared back from across the galaxy. Each one looked different, but they all had the same cold look in their eyes. The Galactic Council had been talking about humans for 3 days now, and Jake knew the news would not be good. Admiral Lisa Carter stood next to him on the bridge of Earth's biggest space station. She had spent 10 years trying to make friends with these aliens, but her face showed she knew it was over. The other humans on the bridge were quiet as they waited for the final words. The lead alien was tall and blue with 4 arms. His voice came through the speakers like ice water. The Galactic Council has made its choice about the human species. You have shown that you cannot live in peace with others. Your people fight too much and hurt too many. We cannot let you stay part of our galaxy community. Jake felt his hands turn into fists, but he kept quiet. The blue alien kept talking. All trade with human worlds will stop today. No more sharing of our science or technology. Your ships cannot leave the area around your sun. We will put guard, machines around your space to make sure you stay inside. Dr. Peter Hayes had been afraid this would happen. He was the smartest human when it came to understanding aliens, and he had warned everyone about the trouble at Kepler Station. Some bad aliens called Zephyrians had attacked human families there, and the humans had fought back hard. Too hard, according to the Council. They said humans were too violent and dangerous. The Council leader continued his cold speech. You have 7 days to bring all your people back to your home area. After that, any human ship found outside will be destroyed. This choice cannot be changed. The vote was 12-0. Admiral Carter finally spoke up. We ask you to think about this again. Humans only fight when others attack us first. We want peace, but we will defend our families. The blue alien's 4 eyes showed no feeling. Your words prove why this must happen. You think violence is the answer to everything. True peace means finding other ways to solve problems. You cannot learn this, so you must stay away from the rest of us. The screen went dark, and the aliens were gone. The bridge was quiet for a long time. Jake looked around at his crew and saw anger in their faces, but also something else. He saw the same thing he felt inside himself. They would show these aliens they were wrong. Lisa Carter broke the silence. Get me a line to Earth Command. We need to start bringing everyone home. But Jake could hear in her voice that she was already thinking about what came next. Dr. Hayes walked over to them with his computer pad. I have been studying their ships and technology for years. I think I know how some of it works. If they want to lock us in our own backyard, maybe we can use that time to get better at building things. Jake smiled for the first time in days. How long do you think it would take us to make ships better than theirs? Peter Hayes looked at his notes and then back at Jake. Give me 5 years, and I will build you ships that make their technology look like old toys. Over the next week, human ships came back from all over the galaxy. Some carried families who had been trying to start new lives on alien worlds. Others brought soldiers who had been working with alien armies. All of them came home angry and hurt, but not broken. The last ship to come back was carrying the human ambassador from the Council world. She was a tough woman named Kate Sullivan, who had tried harder than anyone to make the aliens like humans. When she walked off her ship, she looked tired, but her eyes were bright with new ideas. Jake met her at the dock. What did you learn while you were there? Kate smiled in a way that made Jake think she had some good secrets. I learned that they are not as smart as they think they are. They make everything the same way and never try new ideas. They follow rules that are thousands of years old and never change anything. She looked out at the stars through the big windows of the station. They think being different is bad, but I think it might be the best thing about humans. We never do things the same way twice, and we always find new ways to solve problems. Admiral Carter joined them and heard the last part. So what do we do now? Jake looked at both women and felt something growing inside him that he had never felt before. It was bigger than anger and stronger than hope. We proved them wrong. They want to keep us locked up like animals in a cage. Instead, we are going to use this time to become something they never expected." Kate nodded, and her smile got bigger. "They think they are punishing us, but they just gave us the best gift possible. Time to get better without them watching and learning what we can do." The three of them stood looking out at the stars and made a promise without saying words. Humans would not just survive this. They would come back stronger than any alien had ever imagined possible. 5 years had passed since the aliens locked humans inside their own solar system, and Dr. Susan Blake had spent every day of those years working in her lab on Mars. She barely slept and almost never left her workspace, but the results were worth it. The new engines she built could push ships faster than anything the Galactic Council had ever made. Susan stood in front of her newest creation and smiled. The drive core was half the size of alien engines, but twice as powerful. She had not just copied their technology, but had found ways to make it work better. Where aliens used complex systems that needed lots of power, Susan had built simple machines that ran on almost nothing. Commander Ryan Phillips walked into the lab wearing his new uniform. Earth had created a real space navy while they were trapped, and Ryan was one of their best ship captains. He looked at the engine and whistled softly. "This thing really works?" Susan nodded and patted the metal surface like it was her pet. "Better than works. I tested it last week on a small ship, and it moved so fast our computers could barely track it. With this, we can go anywhere in the galaxy and get there before the Council even knows we left home." Ryan had been chosen to lead the first group of humans to leave the solar system since the Exile. His job was to find a new place for humans to live and build without alien interference. He had 12 ships ready to go and 50,000 people who wanted to start over somewhere else. The flagship of his little fleet was called the Independence, and it was nothing like the ships humans used to build. Engineer Kate Sullivan had designed it to be able to change into different things, depending on what was needed. It could carry people to new worlds or mine asteroids for metal, or even fight enemies if it had to. Kate walked around the ship, checking every system one more time. She had learned that aliens built ships that could only do one job, but humans needed machines that could adapt to any situation. Her ships could be taken apart and put back together in new ways faster than most people could change their clothes. The loading docks were busy with families carrying everything they owned onto the ships. These were not just soldiers or scientists, but normal people who wanted to build new lives away from Earth. They had farmers and teachers and doctors and engineers all mixed together because Kate believed colonies needed all kinds of people to work right. Dr. Amy Foster was loading her research equipment onto one of the science ships. She had spent the last 5 years studying physics in ways that aliens had never tried. While the Council species followed old rules and never questioned anything, Amy had been asking new questions and finding amazing answers. She had discovered that space and time worked differently than aliens thought. Their textbooks said certain things were impossible, but Amy had proved them wrong in her lab. Her new ideas about energy and matter would help humans build things that no other species could even imagine. Dan Rodriguez was getting ready to take his mining ships to asteroid fields that aliens had declared too dangerous to work. Dan believed that humans were tougher than most aliens and could handle risks that scared other species. His plan was to gather rare metals that would make human technology even better. The countdown began, and Ryan felt his heart beating faster. This was the moment humans had been waiting for. Either their new technology would work, and they would escape their prison, or they would fail and probably die trying. But every person on those ships had decided that trying was better than staying trapped forever. Susan Blake watched from her lab as the engines started up. The sound was different from alien engines. Instead of the high whine that Council ships made, human engines hummed low and steady like they could run forever without breaking. Energy readings showed that everything was working perfectly. The ships moved away from Mars and toward the edge of the solar system, where alien guard machines waited to stop anyone from leaving. These machines had been watching for 5 years. and had never seen anything try to get past them. They were about to learn that humans did not give up easily. Ryan gave the order, and all 12 ships activated their new drives at the same time. The alien machines detected them immediately and moved to block their path, but they were far too slow. Human ships simply vanished from one spot and appeared in another place so fast that the machines could not track them. In seconds, the entire human fleet was beyond the guard zone and flying toward their new home in the Vega system. The alien machines sent emergency signals back to the Council, but by the time anyone could respond, the humans were already too far away to catch. Ryan looked at his navigation screen and saw that they would reach Vega in just 3 days. Alien. Ships would have needed 3 weeks to travel the same distance. Susan Blake had not just given humans freedom, but had given them the fastest ships in the galaxy. Back on Mars, Susan was already working on her next project. If 12 ships could escape, then hundreds could escape. She would build engines for every human who wanted to leave and find their own place among the stars. The aliens had tried to cage humanity, but instead they had just made humans angry enough to break free. Kate Sullivan was designing new kinds of colonies that could be built quickly on any world that humans found. Instead of taking decades to establish a foothold, her plans would let humans transform empty planets into thriving homes in just a few years. The Great Exodus had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. Humans were loose in the galaxy again, and this time they had technology that made them faster and stronger than ever before. The Council had made their biggest mistake when they tried to keep humanity locked away from the stars. Captain Ben Parker was not expecting to find alien ships when his exploration team reached the Altair system, but there they were. 6 large vessels with strange designs that did not match anything in the Council databases. These ships looked built for war with thick armor and weapons that could punch holes through planets. The aliens called themselves Drakari, and they had been hiding in this system for over 100 years. They were tall creatures with gray skin and muscles that looked like they could crush steel with their bare hands. When they first saw human ships, they prepared for battle because that was what they always did when strangers arrived. But something strange happened when the two fleets faced each other. Instead of attacking right away, both sides stopped and waited. The Drakari had expected humans to run away like most species did when they saw Drakari warships. Humans had expected the aliens to demand surrender like Council species always did. Colonel. Sarah Mitchell was the best diplomat that humans had, and Ben Parker was glad she was on his ship. She had learned to speak many alien languages during the years when humans were part of the Council, and she was the only person who might be able to talk to these new aliens without starting a war. The Drakari leader was named Korvac, and he had scars across his face that showed he had been in many battles. When Sarah first spoke to him through the communication system, he was surprised that she did not seem afraid. Most aliens trembled when they met the Drakari, but this human female looked ready to fight if necessary. Sarah told Korvac about how the Council had kicked humans out of the galaxy for being too aggressive. She explained that humans had been forced to find their own way among the stars and were looking for allies who understood what it meant to be rejected by the so-called civilized species. Korvac listened carefully and then started laughing in a way that sounded like rocks grinding together. He told Sarah that the Drakari had been offered membership in the Council 50 years ago, but had turned it down because they thought the Council was weak and cowardly. Any group that would rather talk than fight when their enemies attacked was not worth joining. The conversation that followed changed everything for both species. Humans and Drakari found that they had more in common than either had expected. Both believed that sometimes violence was necessary to protect what mattered. Both valued strength and courage over empty words and false promises. Captain Luke Thompson was exploring a different part of the galaxy when he encountered the Nexari. These aliens were traders who moved constantly from system to system selling. goods and information to anyone who would pay. They had no home world and lived their entire lives on ships that could travel faster than most military vessels. The Nexari were small creatures with large eyes and quick movements that reminded Luke of the earth animals called monkeys. They were curious about everything and loved to learn new ways of doing things. When they saw human ships, they were fascinated by the strange technology that seemed to work differently from anything they had seen before. Dr. Carol Jenkins was a scientist who had been studying alien cultures for years, and she was excited to meet the Nexari. She learned that they had contacts with dozens of species that existed outside Council control. Many of these groups had been conquered or displaced by the major galactic powers and forced to live on the edges of civilization. The Nexari leader was called Zix, and he was amazed by human inventiveness. He had never seen ships that could change, their configuration so quickly, or engines that could push vessels through space with such efficiency. In exchange for human technology, he offered to share navigation data that would help humans find the hidden worlds where free species lived. Engineer Mike Roberts realized that humans could build ships specifically designed to work with alien allies. Instead of forcing everyone to use human technology, he created vessels that could accommodate different alien physiologies while still maintaining human operational standards. This flexibility impressed both the Drakari and the Nexari, who had never seen such adaptable design. The Drakari offered to teach humans their advanced metallurgy techniques that could make ship armor 3 times stronger than anything the Council used. In return, humans shared their new engine technology that would let Drakari ships move faster than they had ever imagined possible. Both species benefited from the exchange. The Nexari became human guides to the hidden galaxy that existed beyond Council authority. They introduced human explorers to the Thylorians, who were master engineers that had been enslaved by a Council member species for 200 years. They showed humans the location of the Korath, who were fierce warriors that had been driven from their home world by Council expansion. Each new contact brought more opportunities for cooperation. The Thylorians were amazed by human creativity and offered to work together on projects that neither species could complete alone. The Korath respected human fighting ability and proposed joint military exercises that would make both peoples stronger. Within 2 years of their first escape from the solar system, humans had established relationships with over 20 different alien species. None of these groups were part of the Council, and all of them had reasons to dislike the established galactic order. They saw in humanity a chance to build something new and better. The foundation was being built for an alliance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of one dominant species forcing others to obey their rules, this would be a partnership of equals working together for mutual benefit. Each member would contribute their strengths while maintaining their own culture and independence. The Council had intended to isolate humanity and prevent them from causing trouble, but instead they had driven humans to seek out the very species that the Council had ignored or oppressed. These forgotten peoples were eager for allies and grateful to find others who understood what it meant to be cast aside by the galactic establishment. Captain Parker reported back to Earth that the galaxy was much larger and more diverse than the Council wanted anyone to know. There were hundreds of species living free lives beyond the reach of galactic authority, and many of them were interested in joining with humans to create a new kind of civilization based on respect rather than dominance. Dr. Helen Cruz had been studying quantum mechanics at the Proxima Research Station for 3 years when she made the discovery that would change everything. She was working late one night trying to understand how alien faster-than-light travel actually worked when she noticed something that all the alien scientists had missed. The equations that described space and time had hidden layers that no one had ever explored. While alien physicists followed rules that were thousands of years, old Helen was asking new questions about the fundamental nature of reality. Her fresh perspective led her to see possibilities that established science had declared impossible. Her breakthrough came when she realized that space was not solid like aliens believed, but was more like water with currents and depths that could be navigated if you knew the right techniques. Instead of pushing through space like alien ships did, human vessels could fold space around themselves and step from one location to another instantly. The first test of dimensional fold technology happened on a small research ship with Helen and 5 volunteers aboard. When she activated the experimental drive, the ship simply vanished from normal space and reappeared 3 light years away in less than a second. The trip that would have taken alien vessels 6 days was completed before anyone on board could even blink. General Paul Anderson was the first military leader to understand what Helen had accomplished. With fold drives, human ships could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning and disappear just as quickly. No enemy could track them or predict where they would strike next. The technology that was meant to help humans explore would also make them the most dangerous military force in galactic history. Commander Kelly Brooks was chosen to lead the first expedition to the galactic core using the new fold technology. This region was considered too dangerous and distant for most species to explore, but Kelly believed that humans could handle risks that scared other aliens. Her mission was to see what secrets might be hidden in the oldest part of the galaxy. The journey to the galactic core took Kelly's team through areas of space that no alien had ever visited. They found star systems that were billions of years older than anything near Earth and planets that held ruins from civilizations that had existed before the Council was even formed. The ancient technology they discovered would give humans even more advantages over their former captors. Back on Earth, programmer Chris Taylor was working on artificial intelligence systems that would make human ships truly independent. Alien computers were powerful, but they could only follow instructions that had been programmed into them. Chris wanted to create AI that could think and learn and make decisions just like humans did. His breakthrough came when he combined human brain patterns with quantum processing systems. The resulting artificial minds were not just smart, but creative and capable of solving problems in ways that no one had anticipated. Each AI developed its own personality and interests while remaining completely loyal to humanity. The first AI was installed on a ship called the Horizon and immediately began suggesting improvements to every system on board. Within a week, it had redesigned the engines to run 20% more efficiently and modified the weapons to hit targets with perfect accuracy. More importantly, it could learn from every experience and share that knowledge with other AI systems instantly. Dr. Tony Martinez was using AI assistants to develop construction techniques that could transform entire planets in just a few decades. While alien civilizations needed centuries to establish colonies on new worlds, Tony's self-replicating machines could turn barren rocks into garden worlds faster than anyone thought possible. His machines were guided by AI that could analyze planetary conditions and determine the best ways to make each world suitable for life. They could break down asteroids for raw materials or harvest energy from stars to power massive terraforming projects. What once seemed impossible became routine for human engineering teams. The combination of fold drives and AI gave humans capabilities that surpassed anything in Council space. Human ships could travel instantly to any location, while alien vessels were still limited by conventional faster-than-light drives that took days or weeks to cover the same distances. Human AI could analyze enemy tactics and respond with perfect counter-strategies while alien computers followed predictable programming. Dr. Susan Blake had continued improving her engine designs, and her latest creations were not just faster than alien technology but used completely different principles. Where alien drives required enormous amounts of energy, human fold drives worked by manipulating the fabric of space itself. A human ship could fold space around an entire fleet and transport hundreds of vessels as easily as one. The weapons that humans developed were equally revolutionary. Instead of brute force energy beams that alien warships used, human weapons could fold space to deliver attacks that bypassed shields and armor completely. A human destroyer could disable an alien battleship without the enemy ever understanding how they had been hit. Engineer Kate Sullivan had perfected modular construction techniques that let human colonies adapt to any situation instantly. A mining station could be reconfigured into a research facility or a military base in just a few hours. Human settlements were like living organisms that could grow and change as needed, while alien colonies remained fixed in their original designs. The most important innovation was in human social organization. While alien species were locked into rigid hierarchies that never changed, humans had learned to work together in flexible teams that could tackle any challenge. Human leaders emerged naturally based on their abilities rather than their birth or species membership. Dr. Peter Hayes had been studying alien psychology for years, and he realized that most galactic species were afraid of change. They followed traditions that were thousands of years old and never questioned whether there might be better ways of doing things. This conservatism made them predictable, but also made them weak when faced with truly new challenges. Humans embraced change and thrived on challenges that would terrify other species. Where aliens saw problems, humans saw opportunities to learn and grow. This fundamental difference in attitude gave humanity advantages that no amount of alien technology could overcome. 20 years after their exile, humans had not just caught up with galactic civilization, but had surpassed it in every important area. Their ships were faster, their weapons more effective, their technology more versatile, and their AI more sophisticated than anything the established powers possessed. The species that had been cast out for being too primitive had become the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. The Council was beginning to realize that their attempt to contain humanity had been the greatest mistake in galactic history. Admiral Greg Walker stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the hegemony fleet retreat from the Regulus system. The alien ships were bigger and more numerous than his human forces, but they had been completely outmatched by superior technology and tactics. What should have been a difficult battle had turned into a one-sided demonstration of human military superiority. The Regulus colonies had been under hegemony rule for 300 years, and their people had suffered under harsh alien control. When human explorers made contact with the underground resistance movement, the colonists begged for help in throwing off their oppressors. Greg had been ordered to provide that assistance, and he had accomplished the mission with minimal human casualties. Captain Nick Stevens commanded one of the destroyers in Greg's fleet, and he was amazed by how easy the victory had been. Human ships could appear anywhere on the battlefield instantly using fold drives, while alien vessels were limited to conventional movement. The enemy had been confused and disorganized from the moment the battle began. The hegemony admiral had tried to use standard council tactics that had worked for thousands of years against other alien species. He positioned his heavy battleships in defensive formations and waited for the humans to attack his strongest points. Instead, human ships folded space around the enemy fleet and struck from directions that the aliens had not even considered possible. President Martha Davis received the victory report in her office on New Washington, the capital world of the human colonial union. She had been elected by representatives from over 50 human colonies to lead the growing confederation of free human worlds. Her job was to coordinate the response to council threats while maintaining the independence that humans valued above everything else. Martha had been planning this moment for years. The time had come to announce to the entire galaxy that humanity was ready to offer an alternative to council rule. Her message would be broadcast using human communication networks that could reach every inhabited world in known space faster than any alien system. She stood before the cameras, knowing that billions of beings across the galaxy would hear her words. Many of them had never heard of humans, or knew only the council propaganda that painted humanity as dangerous primitives. Today, they would learn the truth about what humans had become and what they offered to anyone willing to join them. Her speech was simple but powerful. She explained that humans had been cast out by the Council for refusing to accept alien authority over their own affairs. Instead of being destroyed by exile, humanity had grown stronger and had built a new kind of civilization based on freedom and cooperation rather than domination and control. She invited any species that was tired of Council oppression to contact human representatives and learn about alternatives to the old galactic order. Humans would share their technology and knowledge, with anyone willing to work together as equals. The age of alien empires ruling over subject peoples was coming to an end. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours of the broadcast, human communication networks were flooded with messages from rebel groups, resistance movements, and entire planetary governments asking for assistance. Species that had been conquered centuries ago suddenly saw hope for regaining their independence. Dr. Tony Martinez was supervising the construction of humanity's newest achievement on the world called New Olympus. His self-replicating machines had transformed the barren planet into a paradise in just 18 months. Rivers flowed through green valleys where there had been only dust, and cities rose from the ground faster than alien observers could track their progress. The planet was intended to serve as a demonstration of what human technology could accomplish. Any species considering alliance with humanity could visit New Olympus and see with their own eyes that human promises were backed by real capabilities. The speed and scale of the transformation impressed even humans who had watched the process from the beginning. The Council was watching human expansion with growing alarm. Their intelligence reports described human technology that seemed to violate known laws of physics and human colonies that appeared to spring up overnight where there had been empty space. The careful balance of power that had maintained Galactic stability for millennia was crumbling as more species abandoned Council authority. The first major confrontation between humans and the Council came when Admiral Walker's fleet defended a rebellion on Altara Prime. The planet was a major industrial world that supplied weapons to Council forces, and its loss would seriously damage alien military capabilities. The Council sent their best fleet to crush the uprising, but they had not expected to face human intervention. The battle lasted only 4 hours, but it changed the political landscape of the galaxy forever. Human ships used fold drives to appear throughout the Altara system simultaneously, while Council forces were still moving into attack positions. The alien fleet found themselves surrounded and outnumbered before they realized the battle had even begun. The Council admiral tried to retreat, but discovered that human ships could prevent enemy vessels from escaping by folding space around them. His entire fleet was captured without losing a single human life. The prisoners were treated well and offered the chance to join the growing alliance of free worlds or return home with a message about human capabilities. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than Council censors could suppress it. Species that had never heard of humans suddenly learned that there was a new power in the galaxy that could defeat Council fleets without breaking a sweat. Rebellion movements that had been dormant for centuries began to stir as they realized that the invincible Council military was not invincible after all. Commander Kelly Brooks returned from her exploration of the galactic core with discoveries that would further accelerate human development. She had found ancient ruins containing technology that was millions of years older than anything the Council possessed. The artifacts suggested that the galaxy had once been home to civilizations far more advanced than current species. More importantly, she had discovered evidence that the Council had deliberately suppressed knowledge of these ancient ruins to maintain their authority. They had built their empire on the foundation of hidden knowledge, while keeping other species ignorant of their true heritage. This information would be devastating to Council credibility when humans chose to reveal it. The old galactic order was collapsing faster than anyone had anticipated. Human technology had made traditional military tactics obsolete, while human ideals were inspiring rebellion across Council space. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was facing challenges that their conservative society could not adapt to quickly enough. Dr. Helen Cruz was already working on the next generation of fold drives that would make human advantages even more overwhelming. Her new designs would allow individual human ships to transport entire fleets instantly across galactic distances. The strategic implications were staggering and would make human forces effectively unbeatable in conventional warfare. The Council faced a choice that would determine the future of galactic civilization. They could accept the new reality of human expansion and try to negotiate some kind of accommodation, or they could risk everything in a war they were increasingly unlikely to win. Admiral Rachel Thompson received the final attack orders from President Davis and felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The Second Galactic War was about to begin, and she would be commanding the largest human fleet ever assembled. 12 separate task forces would strike simultaneously at Council strongholds across the galaxy in a coordinated assault that would either end the war quickly or destroy humanity's chances of survival. The Council had chosen war over negotiation when they rejected human offers of peaceful coexistence. Their leaders believed that overwhelming force could crush human expansion before it spread further. They had assembled the largest military fleet in galactic history, with ships from every member species and weapons powerful enough to destroy entire star systems. But the Council was still thinking in terms of conventional warfare, while humans had moved far beyond traditional tactics. Rachel's ships could appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly and strike targets that aliens thought were safely protected by distance and defensive fleets. The enemy would learn too late that their old strategies were useless against dimensional fold technology. The first target was the Council military headquarters at Nexus Prime, where alien admirals coordinated the defense of 12 species and hundreds of worlds. The massive space station was protected by 3 defensive fleets and orbital weapon platforms that could destroy attacking ships before they came within firing range. It was considered the most secure location in Council space. Rachel's task: force-folded space around the entire Nexus system and appeared inside the defensive perimeter without warning. Her ships materialized between the orbital platforms and the space station itself, giving the defenders no time to react. The battle was over before the Council admirals realized they were under attack. Similar strikes occurred simultaneously at 11 other key locations throughout Council territory. Admiral Greg Walker led the assault on the hegemony home world, while Captain Nick Stevens attacked the primary shipyards of the Syndicate. Every target was captured or destroyed within hours of the initial assault beginning. The speed and coordination of the human offensive shocked alien observers who had expected a conventional war lasting years or decades. Instead, human forces demonstrated capabilities that made resistance seem pointless. Council fleets that moved to defend one system found that human attackers had already moved on to their next target. The war lasted exactly 6 months and ended not with total conquest, but with liberation. Every world that fell to human forces was offered the same choice that humans gave to all their allies. Planetary populations could choose independence alliance with the human commonwealth or full integration into the growing human empire. Most chose alliance because they had seen what human technology could accomplish and wanted to share in the benefits. Species that had been conquered by the Council centuries earlier suddenly found themselves free to govern their own affairs while enjoying the protection of human military power. Emperor Daniel King was elected by representatives from over 300 worlds to lead the new galactic government. Unlike the Council, which ruled through imposed authority, the human empire was built on voluntary cooperation between equals. Each member species retained their culture and autonomy while contributing to collective defense and prosperity. The final irony came when the remaining Council members requested admission to the human empire. Their own populations had voted to join the humans, leaving the Council as an empty shell of bureaucrats ruling over uninhabited space stations. Captain Laura White, who had risen to become an Imperial Admiral, personally accepted their surrender. The ceremony took place on Earth in the same room where humans had received their original exile orders 30 years earlier. The blue alien who had announced humanity's banishment was among the supplicants asking to be allowed into the empire they had tried to destroy. Laura accepted their request with dignity, but made it clear that former council members would have to earn their place like everyone else. Dr. Susan Blake was appointed as the Empire's Chief Technology Officer with responsibility for sharing human innovations throughout the Alliance. Her fold drive technology was made available to all member species, along with AI systems, construction techniques, and terraforming equipment. The goal was to raise the living standards of every world to human levels within a generation. The process of integration went faster than anyone had expected because humans had designed their technology to be adaptable to different alien physiologies and cultures. Ships built for one species could be modified for another while maintaining compatibility with the overall fleet. Cities designed for humans could accommodate alien residents without losing their efficiency. Kate Sullivan became the chief architect for the new galactic civilization, and her modular design philosophy was applied to everything from starships to planetary governments. Instead of rigid hierarchies that could not adapt to changing conditions, the Empire used flexible organizations that could respond quickly to new challenges or opportunities. The galaxy was transformed in ways that went beyond mere political changes. Trade between species increased dramatically when humans eliminated the barriers and restrictions that the Council had used to maintain control. Scientific research accelerated as different species shared knowledge freely instead of hoarding discoveries for competitive advantage. Dr. Helen Cruz established research stations throughout the Empire where human and alien scientists worked together to push the boundaries of knowledge even further. Her latest fold drive designs could transport entire solar systems if necessary, while her work on dimensional physics was opening possibilities that no one had previously imagined. The most remarkable change was in the attitudes of galactic peoples, who had lived under council oppression for so long that they had forgotten what freedom felt like. Children grew up believing they could become anything they wanted instead of being limited by their species or birth circumstances. Innovation flourished as beings were encouraged to question old assumptions and explore new ideas. President Martha Davis established the Galactic University on New Washington, where students from hundreds of worlds came to learn human techniques of problem-solving and leadership. The curriculum emphasized creativity, cooperation, and the belief that any challenge could be overcome with enough determination and the right approach. The human empire grew to encompass most of the known galaxy within 50 years of the original exile. Species that had never been contacted by the Council were discovered and invited to join the Alliance as equals. Ancient civilizations that had hidden from galactic politics for millennia emerged to share their knowledge with the new order. Emperor Daniel King often reflected on the irony of humanity's situation as he looked out at the stars from his office on New Washington. The Council had tried to contain humanity because they feared human aggression and unpredictability. Instead, their exile had given humans the motivation and opportunity to become everything the aliens had feared and more. But humans had not conquered the galaxy through violence or oppression. They had won through innovation, cooperation, and the simple belief that free beings working together could accomplish anything. The empire they built was stronger than the Council had ever been, because it was based on willing partnership rather than imposed submission. The galaxy had tried to cage humanity and failed. In breaking free, humans had liberated not just themselves, but countless other species who had been waiting for someone to show them that the old order was not permanent. Together they had built something new and better that would endure for thousands of years to come.